If you're not a designer, picking colors for your website can be really hard. But you know what? With the tips I'll share in this video, it's actually pretty simple. In this video, I'll show you how to choose the colors for your website and where to use the colors, which elements should be highlighted and with what color. Tips with punch. Hello internet people, my name is Robert and choosing the colors is probably the hardest part of this whole thing. So let's make it easier with some examples of how others have done it. And here's the first example, cxl.com. They use a very simple color palette. You can see that their logo and some of the main buttons and links are red. And that's pretty much it. Red is their highlight color and everything else falls under it. Now, sometimes they do use, for example here, for quotes, they use a black background with white text. So they basically inverted their colors and they use that to highlight certain places. And just to highlight certain elements, they use this gray color. You can see here in the background, they use gray, and also for this filter thingy, it's gray, just for it to stand out from the page. But pretty much everything else, if they need to highlight something, they just use red. Very simple and very professional way to display your website. Now, this is another example from a Dutch electronics shop called coolblue.nl, and you can see that they have a bit more going on there. It's a bit more complex color palette. So orange is their highlight color. You can see it's in the logo and some text is also highlighted and maybe some elements on the page that really need that to pop out. And then they use green for example, for their main CTAs like adding things to cart, also reviews and some important elements on the website like when is it going to be delivered. And then they have blue, which is their main color. They use it for navigation and also their links and some other important text that they want to highlight. But green is what makes buttons and text stand out. So if they really want to highlight something, they use green for that. And if you want to be more playful, you could do something like boxgreen.co. They use green as their main color. You can see that they have in the logo and also their titles. You see prices and even calls to action, those are green. And they use shades of green just to make things a bit different. So you can see here, there's shades of green. And then if they want to highlight anything, then they use this kind of pinkish red, for example, for the sales label. And another thing I really like here on the website is the footer. It's really cute here at the bottom. They have these squirrels and the trees running around with different kind of greens. This is really cute, just a nice execution from the designers. Now, if you're a beginner, I would choose maybe a maximum of 2 colors. One color for some backgrounds, links and icons, and one color for the main CTAs, so the most important buttons and links on your website. This way they will pop out from the page. For text, I would always use black or deep dark gray or brown colors. This way you make sure there's enough contrast when people read your text and they don't need to, pinch their eyes just to read your text. Always make enough contrast for the main text. Now, if you want to use more colors, just do it, but be mindful about it because it's a very delicate balance between looking good and just chaotic. Okay, based on the examples and the tips I gave you, I think it's a bit easier to pick colors for your website now. If you already have a logo and the logo has some color in it, then that could be your main color. If you don't have a logo, you can use a color palette generator like coolers.co. I think that's how you pronounce it. Or the other one is Happy Hues. Happy Hues is a bit more limiting, but the cool thing is if you click on anything, they already immediately show how it's gonna look like. They use a lot of pastel colors, so it's really nice for certain type of websites. But I'm gonna use the coolers.co. And here it's pretty simple to use. You just come to this generator and they even say here what to do. Press spacebar to generate color palettes. So I'm gonna do that. All right, I like the blue hues here. Let's say I actually like this blue. All you have to do is come here and lock it, yeah? You just click on this lock icon. Now I'm gonna delete this dark blue. I don't think I'm gonna need it. And now I can keep pressing on the space bar and it's gonna generate colors that fit that blue. So I'm not a fan of this one. Yellow, maybe could use, let's see. Okay, this is a bit more boring, but they also suggest more and more. If you keep pressing, they just suggest more colors. But let's say I like these colors now. I'm gonna lock this one and then I'm gonna lock this black coffee one as well. I'm not gonna use this color, so it doesn't matter, it can just stay there. And now you can just grab these colors by copying the hex number. So if you copy the hex number, you can now go anywhere and you can see you get this number here. And if you add the hashtag in front of it, then that becomes the hex number. You can now use this code in your WordPress or any other website builder and place this color as your main color or your highlight color or whatever you choose to do. So for example, you could use this blue for links and main CTAs, and then if you want to use for backgrounds, this nice almond color, that could be a nice option. And then you can invert some elements. So for example, use this black coffee as the background and then have white text on top of it. It's gonna look really great. The more colors you add, the less attention the main color gets or the highlighting colors get. So use it sparsely and use your highlight color for the most important elements on your website, like calls to action. Remember, if you are starting out, there is no shame in borrowing inspiration from other sites. Just make sure that if the colors match, the website is not in the same industry as you are. Otherwise, there might be some trademark issues and you don't want to go there. You can just look at how and where they have used the colors and apply them the same way, but with your color palette. But keep in mind that to make your website look more professional, you need more than just fancy colors. Check out this video for my tips on how to make your website look more professional.